Welcome. Today's training is a really good one for me, and it is all about how to get unstuck and how to start seeing the possibilities in midlife. And I love this idea and I love this topic. So I really hope that you guys like it too. And I hope that you come on the journey with me. If you are watching me live, then please drop a comment, say hello, because I can't see where you are or where you're from. If you're watching me on replay, please drop the hashtag replay underneath. I have something very special for you, by the way, if you are watching it on replay. So watch it till the end and you'll see what I've got in store for you. So as I say, today's training is called How to Get Unstuck and Start Seeing the Possibilities in Midlife. And what I want to do today is I'm actually going to share a presentation with you. So bear with me 1 second. Let me just get this up and running for you, because it's never as easy as it should be. So I want to share screen. There we go. So you should now be able to see my screen. And I want to go on here. And I want to go on here. There we go. So hopefully you can now see my screen and you can see the presentation. So as I said, today's topic is called How to Stop Feeling Stuck and Start Seeing the Possibilities in Midlife. And one of the reasons that I really want to do this training with you, and I'm so glad that you voted for it, is because I was stuck and I could not see the possibilities in midlife, and I was grasping and I was struggling, and I basically ended up having a midlife crisis because of the fact that I was struggling so much. So I don't want you to be in that situation. So I'm really hoping today you're going to take something from this training and you're going to be able to go and use it. Okay. So where are we with this? What do I mean when I say stuck? So when I mean stuck, I mean you're no longer fulfilled with your life. You feel like there's more crap than good in your life. You just can't see a way to change things. You feel trapped in a job or a relationship or just trapped in life. And you feel like life is just passing you by. You might feel old, worthless, and useless. I certainly did. And you just feel like you cannot be bothered to fight anymore. In a nutshell, you just seem to have lost your direction in life. So when we talk about that, there's so many things that can go into it. And some of the real common feelings that we have are that we live with past regrets. So, we've all got them. Maybe it's a career choice you made. Maybe it's a relationship that you had or didn't have. Maybe it's something you did, or maybe it's something you didn't do. We all feel trapped. So being trapped is another common emotion. So, it's just really easy to feel like we're stuck in a life that we've created and we just can't escape. You can't see a way out. Certainly when we get to midlife, we feel like we're too old to change. You ever feel like I'm too old to start something new? And we hear it so many times. I hear it so many times. And I thought that it's a really common belief, but it's not true. And the other one is that it's just too late. It's too late to change things because we've been doing it the same way forever. We're too old. It's too late in life. But I'm going to tell you that it's not. So let's go into each one of these one by one. So past regrets. Now, the one thing that I'm going to tell you that is 100% true, nobody can dispute this. We cannot change the past unless you have a time travel machine that takes you back in time. You cannot change the past. The only thing you can do is you can learn from it and you can change your future actions based on what you did. No matter how you feel, you cannot change it. You may have said something, even if you had an argument earlier on today, you can't change it. You can apologize for it, but you can't change it. So what I want you to do here is, if you feel like your past, the regrets that you have in your past are keeping you in a place you don't want to be. I want you to take a look at those things. I want you to start journaling on them, and I want you to start getting some perspective on them. Okay, because we often we have two ways of looking at the world. We often paint the past with very pretty pictures, or it's the worst thing that ever happened, and what I did in that situation was the worst thing that I could have done. Neither of which are true. And you can get into a blame game, and you can get into this place where you actually are digging yourself into a hole where you're never going to get out of it, because you regret what you said, you regret what you did, you regret doing this, you did it at that time for a reason. Whatever that reason was, you did it at that time for a reason. So we need to move on. We need to leave that event in the past, and we need to deal with what we learned from that event. So I really want you to start journaling around any of those regrets that you have from the past. Okay. Try to look at them without any judgment. So look at them as though it's my past rather than your past, and my regret, not your regret. And how would you deal with it then? And that's a really good way to do it. But as I say, let's use it as a learning experience. The next one is feeling trapped. And this is one that a lot of people talk to me about. They feel stuck. They feel trapped. They feel trapped in a world where it's of their own making, which is even worse. It's not something they've created. So when we start to feel trapped, we need to understand where we feel trapped. Is it in our jobs? Is it just in our lives? Is it our relationships? Do we feel trapped in a marriage? Do we feel, so many people have said to me, I've been married for 35 years. How can I leave now? I mean, you can do what you want to do. I'm not advocating that you leave a marriage. I'm saying you can do what you want to do. You might feel trapped in a job because you feel that actually, you've been tagged as being that person. I was very much tagged as being a beauty therapist. I've never been a beauty therapist in my life. I ran a beauty business and I happen to do beauty. And I've never, ever been a beauty therapist. But when I start applying for jobs, people look at me and tell me I'm a beauty therapist, which I find hysterical. I'm really not. So I feel trapped by that. I feel trapped by my work experience because people don't see anything past that. They can't. So I want you to identify what it is. And then I want you to identify what one thing can you change that is going to start to get you not feeling so trapped. So maybe it is looking for a new job. Maybe it is looking at a new hobby. Maybe it's talking to your partner. Maybe it's broadening your friendship circle. Whatever it is, you need to start looking to take one action. Okay. The next one, and we get this all the time, we're too old to change. Oh my Lord, if I hear this once, I hear it 100 times. 50 is not old, okay? Not in today's day and age. Don't get me wrong. When I was 15, I thought 50 was ancient. I really did. I had no concept that I would ever be that age, and it just seemed so old. But it's not. And we need to understand that genuinely, we've got another 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us. Even the world's governments think that 50 is young, because in the UK, we cannot retire now until we are 67. So they still think I've got at least another 15 years in me of working. I am going to tell you now, in being in our 40s and 50s, we are not too old to change, and we need to change. We need to embrace change, because if we don't, we will get left behind. And the other one is it's too late. It's linked to we're too old, it's too late. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to name 3 people, okay, that you have heard of, and I know you have heard of these people, okay. Vera Wang. Vera Wang is a very famous designer, specifically for wedding dresses. She wasn't a designer. That's not what she did at all, until she designed her own wedding dress. She designed her own wedding dress when she was about 38 years old, and she decided that's what she wanted to do. And she didn't become a real designer until she was in her 40s. Here's another one, Ray Kroc. You may not have heard of Ray Kroc, but I can promise you, you have heard of the company that he founded. So he founded McDonald's as we know it today, as a franchise, as a multi-global franchise, an international franchise called McDonald's. And he didn't do that till he was in his 50s. And then there's Colonel Sanders. Now, he is actually a real person. I never knew he was, but he's a real person. And you know, he's the KFC founder. He didn't found KFC until he was in his 60s. None of those people thought it was too late. Not one of them thought it was too late. They were all convinced that age was just a number, and they did it. And I want you to start feeling the same. The other thing is, and I'm going to do this is a man you'll never ever have heard of, I'm quite sure. There's a man called Archie White, and he has graduated in the UK with a master's degree in philosophy at the age of 95. And he's just about to start a doctorate, which he should finish when he's about 102. He doesn't think it's too late, and neither should you. That wasn't meant to rhyme, by the way, but it did, so well done me. So what I'm talking about here, and you can start to see what I'm talking about, is a change in our perspective. It's a change in our mindset, and it's a change in how we view things. Okay, so Carol Dweck was a lecturer at Stanford University, and she came up with this amazing idea from studying children, adults, whatever, that there are two different kinds of mindsets, and you can change between them, but there is one that holds you in a place you don't want to be, and there is another that allows you to move, and they're called fixed and growth mindset. You can tell which one is which. So in terms of a fixed mindset, this is where we say things to ourselves like, I'm too old to get a new job. I'm too old to go dating. I'm too old to try and go back to school. I'm too busy. How many times have you said, I'm too busy, I don't have enough time? And yet you have time to scroll through your phone. You have time to sit and watch Coronation Street. You have time to, we have time. We don't use that time wisely, but we have time. I'll never be able to do that. Never. I could never do that. And I get that so many, oh, Carrie, I really envy you. I'd never be able to do what you do. Yes, you would. Everyone can. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I am not a special person, trust me. Anyone can do it. That's out of my reach. How do you know? How do you know it's out of your reach if you're not going to try and reach it? I got it wrong. Now I have to live with the consequences. So I got it wrong once. I'm not going to try again. It's the same attitude. I can't change. The one thing I hate in midlife is these people who tell me that they can't do technology. I can't do technology. Well, you need to learn to do technology because the world is changing. The world is rapidly changing. And if you can't do technology, you won't be able to exist. But these people that are moaning they can't do technology are doing it on Facebook. You're doing technology. It's getting simpler. I remember when I was 10 years old and my dad had to learn how to use a computer, and he came home and he had a manual this big with everything he had to learn. It was so complicated. Nobody knew how to do it. Now, you literally press on a button, you press the button, go, and it gives you a tutorial. It tells you how to do things. It sets it up all for you. What you're not doing, it's not that you can't do technology, it's that you're not willing to learn something new. Another one, I'm no good at that. How many times have you done something once? You go, I'm no good at that. I can't do that. I'm no good at singing. I bet you sing in the shower. Oh, I'm no good at doing that. I can't. It's a fixed mindset. It's a no, it's a stop. That's a young person's thing. And we hear this all the time. So the difference between that fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So the growth mindset is really the willingness to try. It's a willingness to learn something new. And if you fail, so what? You see it as a learning opportunity. It's just amazing that you can fail at something and go, oh, okay, well, I've learned something new today. You know that you can change your life and develop at any time in your life. And that's really important. So it's not just that you can learn when you're young. I mean, imagine if babies had fixed mindsets. Every time they were literally, you'd pick them up, you'd get them to walk, they'd walk 2 steps and they'd go, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. It's out my reach, that is. Can't do that. I can't change. I'm no good at that. They don't see it that way because babies are born with a growth mindset. Children, they have a growth mindset until we tell them not to, until we tell them they can't do that. You cannot do that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. And we do it all the time to our children. We need to stop doing that, by the way, but that's a different discussion. That's not for today. But we basically train them to have a fixed mindset. We train them that the only way in life is to follow the rules. And it's not the only way. It really isn't. And some of those kids that, you know what, they're not destined to be at school in the way that we send them to school. They're doomed to fail because we make them follow this fixed routine and we don't want them to do anything else. It's very, very difficult. But as I say, different thing. I've gone off on a tangent. Oh, it's voting day in the UK today, so I'm on a political tangent all the time at the moment. I need to stop. So that's fixed versus growth mindset. And what we need to be able to see the possibilities in midlife is we need to have this growth mindset. We need to be able to see that there is more out there. We need to be able to see there's more out there, and we need to be able to see and know in our hearts that we can have it. So here's some tips. These are the things we need to do. Okay. Number one, we need to embrace challenges. So if you've got a fixed mindset and you come up against an obstacle, you will just quit. You will not want to do it. This is too hard. I don't want to do it. How many times do you hear women who say, I went to the doctors to get put on HRT and the doctor told me I couldn't have it? That's it. End of discussion. That's not the way we see it. So you get a challenge, your doctor has said no. Okay, what can you learn from this? You need to go and find out more information. If you believe it's right for you, go and find out more information, go and find out what you can do. And then you go back and you actually explain to the doctor that actually this is why I need it. This is what is going on in my life and I want it. There's one challenge. That's the same with every other part of our life. Whatever obstacle that we've been thrown, and trust me, there are going to be lots of obstacles we've been thrown in our lives. What can we learn from it? You know, this is basically how I got to doing what I'm doing today. So during lockdown, my business was closed down. I couldn't work. I basically didn't earn a penny for 10 months. My husband had to support me. I've never been financially dependent on anyone ever in my life. So that was really, really hard. And during that time, I genuinely did have a nervous breakdown. I had a midlife crisis. I just felt awful, and I started to get into personal development. And what I found was that those obstacles that had come my way, that kind of lack of worth, that lack of purpose, all of those things, I started to overcome, and I started to learn so much about it. And the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to get involved in it. And although it wasn't my first thought to do this, actually, this is where it led me. It led me to being a coach. That's how embracing challenges got me out of it. So, you know, maybe a job loss, maybe you've just lost your job, or maybe you've just not got that promotion you wanted. And maybe you're thinking, do you know what do I want? So those obstacles of not getting that job you wanted, or not having the job, or whatever it may be, maybe you went on a date, you really liked the man, but he didn't like you back, or whatever it is. What can you learn from it? What can you do differently? And actually, how can you make this into a positive? So embracing challenges. The next one is learning from criticism. Now, I have to counter this. I'm not talking about somebody slagging you off. I'm not talking about somebody who is being nasty to you. That is not criticism. That's hatred. That's nastiness. That's lots of things. But, and there is a but, if somebody is going to give you some constructive feedback, don't just be defensive. Take that constructive feedback. And you know what I'm talking about. If somebody says to you, well, you know, actually, I didn't like the way that you handled that. And you go, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Instead of reacting and just doing that, just listen to what they're saying. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. If someone is brave enough to give you constructive feedback, and I do mean constructive, I don't mean the slagging off, constructive feedback, listen to them and then use it to improve. You know, what can you improve on? Journal it. What do you need to learn? What do you need to do better? What could you do better? You know, if you go for a job interview these days, you can ask for feedback. It's really worth finding out what was it? Why did I not get the job? What did I do badly? What did I do well? And if you do get that job, again, ask what you did well. Why did they choose you? So learn from criticism. The next one, and I love this, celebrating effort. And I was really bad at doing this. And certainly during my first 6 months of working with a business coach, I got told all the time that I am the world's worst in doing this. I never, ever, ever celebrate my wins. I never celebrate the wins. Every single thing you do, you will find that you have really small wins along the way. And I want you to start celebrating them. Okay, if you tried something new, that's already a win, regardless of the outcome. That's a win. So I want you to start celebrating them. I want you to start thinking every single time I do something that is putting me a little bit further forward and is getting me a little bit unstuck, I want you to celebrate it. I want you to write it in your diary. I want you to tell people, join our group, stick it in this Facebook group. Just put #win and put down whatever your win for the day is. I want to celebrate with you because I think it was a really difficult thing for me to do. I was waiting until I'd finished the journey. I was not focusing on the journey to tell people that I'd won. So please start celebrating it. And then this is one of my favorites. And this is one of the things that is going to get you unstuck. Okay. You need to start building new skills and hobbies. Don't get me wrong. Not everybody needs to have a new career to get them unstuck in midlife. But go back to what I said in the first place. What is being stuck? It's just like you feel that nothing's happening. You've probably tried things that you've done before and they just don't give you the same spark anymore. So we need to learn something new. And lifelong learning is a way to do that, just constantly learning new stuff. You know, it is never too late to learn something new. A year ago, I decided that as part of my brain training that I do every day, I was going to do Sudoku. And I really struggled to do Sudoku. I didn't really understand it. I kind of got it a little bit. And then the more I did it, the more I found there were certain ways of doing it that actually made it easier. And I did it on an app and I would be doing the easy levels and it'd be taking me, you know, 5 minutes to do it. I am now on the expert level Sudoku and I can do them in 6-7 minutes because I've learned how to do it. And I love the fact that I've learned how to do it. And that's a #win. That makes me feel really, really good. So it's little things like that. It's never too late to learn to do something new. I am now pretty good on the technology required to run something like this, to do a Facebook Live, to use Canva, to do social media posts, to schedule super. I didn't know how to do any of that. I had no clue. I've now learned how to do it and I've loved it. So as I say on there, take a class, learn a new skill, start a hobby, do whatever. YouTube is a wealth of information. There is so much free stuff out there. My husband is learning how to play the electric guitar. He's just taken it up at the age of 56, and I love it. Don't particularly like what it sounds like, but I love the fact that he's doing this, because do you know what? That's what we do. That's how we keep going. And one thing you're going to need to do if you're going to learn a new hobby is you're going to have to learn to overcome the fear of failure. Now, again, this is something that a lot of my ladies talk about, and it really bothers them. They don't want to fail. And I think, again, this is part of our schooling system. I think it's part of how we grow up. We're told that failure is a bad thing. We're constantly told that failure is a bad thing. Even when you say the word to yourself, it brings out negative emotions. But actually, do you know what? Failure is not a bad thing. It's a stepping stone to your success. There's only so many ways you can get something wrong. There really is in the world. Thomas Edison, he invented the light bulb. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." How amazing is that? Take that thought. You haven't failed. You've just found thousands of ways that it doesn't work. You move on. You've got to try the next one. So you have to overcome that fear of failure. And I'm doing it at the moment. I've actually gone onto TikTok and I've been posting videos, and I cringe when I post them. I think they look awful. You see all my wrinkles and God knows what else. But do you know what? I'm going to give it a go, because I don't know anything about TikTok. That's a new learning curve for me. So again, let's do it. Let's see how we get on. And if I fail on it, you know what? I'll learn something from that. And that's the most important thing. I can see that there is anything that I fail at, I can see that there's a learning opportunity. I failed at my marriage, first one. It really did help me learn what I needed and what I wanted in my second marriage. And my second marriage is probably stronger because of that, because I can set boundaries. I can tell him what I want, whereas I couldn't with my first one. So I'm going to give you these 6 practical tips for midlife growth. Okay. You need to set some goals. So if you genuinely do not know what you want to do with your life, then I would suggest that you sit down and you work out what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, what experience you already have, and see what starts to spark. This is quite difficult. It's often really good to do it with someone else, and I am more than happy to spend an hour with you doing this in like a real power hour. Let's get this out. Let's get it down. Once you get that down and you start to see where you want to go, set goals, but don't set big goals. Don't say, I want to be a multimillionaire by the end of the year, because that is too big a goal. Just for example, if you're going to break that down, I want to be a multimillionaire by the end of the year. Okay, what's an achievable goal might be that I want to make £1,000 by the end of July. You have to start setting goals and taking steps that are achievable. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, you need to have support around you. You need a network of people to support you. You need to have friends. Join groups like our group, find a mentor, whatever it'll be. Find that support that will get you to do and to actually take action on the things and to make you accountable. If you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. Okay. And then things you can do at home: reflect and adjust. If you've watched me before, you know how much I talk about journaling. I need you to regularly check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on? Journal around those issues that we talked about your regrets from the past, about the feedback that you've had, about your challenges that you've had. What wins have you had? Start writing this down every day. If you don't already do this, then start journaling every single solitary day. Doesn't matter if it's in the morning or the night or in the middle of the day, whenever. Take 20 minutes and just write down what's going on. Okay? That's in addition to your gratitude. Your gratitudes are for a different reason. Your gratitudes change how your brain is wired. Because if you remember, you cannot have two emotions at the same time. You cannot be happy and sad. So when you're grateful, you're on this positive, fantastic cycle. And that's where we want you to be. Mindfulness. You need to stay present and focused on the here and now. Yes, I want you to journal about the past and the regrets you have, but I don't want you to live there. Chris Akabusi once said this fantastic comment, and it stuck with me for the rest of my days. And he said, the past is for reference, not residence. So I want you to stay in the here and now. And I don't want you to start getting anxious about the future, because the future hasn't happened yet. Stay in the here and now. I want you to be really kind to yourself, because beating yourself up, trust me, I have been there, gets you nowhere, just makes you feel shittier than ever. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself as you would a friend. Okay, so when you're feeling down and you're feeling low, I want you to think about it as though you are a friend. And then the last one, you really do need to go and do those things that get you out of your comfort zone. Because if you're feeling stuck, I can guarantee that you have tried the things that you have already tried before and they're not working anymore. You're doing the things that you've always done and it's not working anymore. And now what you need to do is you need to go and do something that's big and scary. And that means getting out of your comfort zone. So every single day, I want you to do something that's a little bit scary. Because do you know what? You do something scary today, tomorrow it's not scary. Get out of your comfort zone. Okay? So with that, I just want to say, you can get unstuck and you can literally change your life, and the possibilities are endless. The fact that you're a midlife woman is irrelevant. In fact, no, I'm going to say it again. It is relevant because we have so much amazing experience. We have, once you get out of here, you will get the one thing that I really do have in piles now, which is don't give a shit attitude to life. And it's what you need to be able to crack on and see what you can do. And all of those dreams you've had that you've never had realized, you've never done anything because you were too scared, you were looking after the kids, you were married, you were doing all these things, whatever it is, now is your time. So I really, really, really want you to think about this. It is not too late to change. We are not too old to change. I want you to start embracing the challenges, learning from criticism, and I want you to celebrate your efforts. You can start small, but I want you to keep moving forward.